Dear learners, today's MOOC will be on the unit Historical Development of Social Work. Now let us begin with a brief introduction of the unit. Social work, much like other disciplines, has developed through centuries. The concern of professionalizing and academizing social work across the globe became a significant issue in the beginning of the 20th century in the West, including Europe and the USA. From the West, social work as a professional discipline has spread over the world. We will begin with the professional development of social work in USA. The historical development in USA can be divided into the following stages. The first one is the colonial period 1620 to 1776. Since the founding of the original 13 colonies on the eastern coast, social welfare programs have indeed been available in the United States. The main model for providing financial support to those in need was the Elizabethan Poverty Law. The first strategy used in the expanding colonial cities was to provide assistance to the impoverished outside of their dwellings. Next is Civil War and Industrial Revolution, 1776 to 1860. Large-scale private social welfare projects, including the Red Cross and the U.S. Sanitary Commission, came into being as a result of the Civil War. Following the war, newly freed slaves received aid through the short-lived Freedmen Bureau, the first federal social welfare program. State charitable boards were established to enhance the administration of organizations built by the preceding generation. Next is industrialism, the human side, 1860 to 1900s. Using concepts derived from business and industry, reformers attempted to respond to some of these developments by regulating public relief distribution through so-called scientific charity. In 1877, the first American Charity Organization Society, COS, based on such principles, was founded in Buffalo, New York. The main functions of the COS were threefold: the rehabilitation of families which for any reason failed to be self-sufficient, the education of the community, and aid in the elimination of causes of poverty. Another development was in regard to settlement houses. The settlement house workers established neighborhood centers and offered services such as citizenship training, adult education, counseling, recreation, and daycare. The rapid growth of manufacturing industries aggravated the pathetic conditions of children. So, Children Aid Society 1853 and Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Children 1857 were started in New York City. This led to the formation of child welfare movement. The aim of the agencies was to rescue children from inadequate homes and from the streets. The other stages include social work seeking professional characteristics 1900 to 1930 and establishing itself as a highly professionalized discipline 1930 onwards. Development of professional social work education in the USA truly began with the employment of paid staff and their training by charity organization societies. The first such training center, organized by New York Charity Organization Society in 1898, is currently known as the Columbia University. Hospital-based trainings and social work services were also initiated around the same time at Boston Hospital. Mary E. Richmond could be considered the first professional social worker in the U.S. She became the assistant treasurer of Baltimore Charity Organization Society. The book Social Diagnosis by Mary Richmond in 1917 is considered as the foundation for the theoretical basis of social work. The American Association of Schools of Social Work was founded in 1919 to facilitate communication among the schools, which reflected a different type of organizational response to the impact of industrialization and immigration, and introduced an alternative model of social service agency, a form of urban mission. The first U.S. settlement, the Neighborhood Guild in New York City, was established in 1886. Now we are going to discuss about professional development of social work in United Kingdom. The history of social work in the United Kingdom had gone through the following phases: 1200 to 1500 AD. From the earliest days of religion between 1200 and 1500 AD, priests took the lead in protecting the weak widows, orphans, and ailing people. The desire to obtain God's grace in order to secure the merits of good work for eternal life was what encouraged charity the most. The able-bodied and the destitute were two divisions of the impoverished at the start of the 14th century. Next, 1501 to 1600 AD. From 1501 to 1600 AD, it was frowned upon for people to give money to able-bodied beggars. Henry VI authorized begging in prohibited areas in 1531, and offenders were subjected to penalty. Queen Elizabeth established a general tax in 1572 to safeguard the underprivileged and appointed overseers for the underprivileged. 1600 to 1800 AD. A turning point in history of organized social welfare was the introduction of Elizabethan Poor Law in 1601. Many aid provisions were guaranteed by this law for qualified poor people. Additionally, the rule required the physically fit beggars to work in workhouses. Three groups of the poor were identified: the physically fit poor, the impotent poor, and the dependent child. The poor legislation had to be carried out under the supervision of the overseers of the poor. They chose the applicants after confirming their eligibility. The training of workhouse inmates was outlined in the Workhouse Act of 1692. Next, 1800 to 1900 AD. Social scientist Adam Smith recommended that government should minimize its involvement in any field for any purpose, as it will lead to much dependency. As per the recommendations of the Royal Commission 1832, able-bodied continued to work in able-bodied homes, and better help for slum dwellers were provided in 1834. In the Factories Act 1833, only minimum welfare facilities were provided to the industrial workers. London Charity Organization Society was the first such organization formed in the year 1869. They undertook the following strategies to help the needy effectively: stop giving doles, coordinate the distribution of relief, verified each application carefully, conducted interviews to assess the genuineness of the applicants, and formulated plans for the treatment. Another significant milestone in the history of social work was the establishment of Settlement House by Canon Samuel Augustus Barnett in 1884. The University Settlement House was named as Toynbee Hall. Its objectives were educational and cultural development of the poor, imparting information to the poor for their improvement, developing consciousness towards health problems, and the need for enacting legislation. Now, 1900 AD onwards. With the increasing growth of voluntary institutions, the need to have trained workers was felt. The need led to the birth of social work education. In 1873, Octavia Hill started training workers for imparting service. Newly formed charity organization societies started to practice professional social work and began to provide training to social workers. In the year 1899, social work training was started and introduced. In 1903, the School of Sociology in London started to impart 2-year training program in social work with theory and practice. This was the first effort to professionalize social work service. Now, we will discuss about professional development of social work in India. The development of social work in India can be grouped as pre-British period to 1800 AD. The Hindu scriptures have always propagated social justice, responsibility, and welfare. This is evident in the Vedic and post-Vedic periods. Advent of other religions like Buddhism, Jainism, Islam, and Christianity had also strengthened the existing philanthropic Indian philosophy. The following social structures fulfilled certain responsibilities. Number 1. Joint family. It is like a trust sharing common property. It protected the aged, children, and women and people with disability and served as a social trust. Next, village community. Indian villages were independent in matters of food, clothing, and shelter. Next, village temple. People donate money to the temple, and under this system, socially backward people were protected. Dharamshalas attached to temples also played a role in charity work. Now, during the British period, British rule was main inspiration for social reform movement. There were no property rights for Indian women, early marriage, inequality, caste system, widow remarriage, custom of sati were the burning problems of Indian society. Raja Ram Mohan Roy started the Brahmo Samaj, Swami Dayanand Saraswati started the Arya Samaj, Swami Vivekananda established Ramakrishna Mission, and Annie Besant started Home Rule movement against the Britishers. Later, Mahatma Gandhi did a lot of work in the field of social reform. Due to the impact of Western education and Christian missionaries, a new term of social work began in India. It was based on the idea of democracy and humanitarianism. Organizations like the Theosophical Society contributed towards awakening of individual rights. Awareness on women's rights, writings and developments in the field of psychology, sociology, and anthropology have helped identify individual needs, concepts of ill health, and mental illness. Professional social work is a relatively new concept in India. From 1900s on, people involved in social welfare operations discovered a need for qualified social workers. Thus, Indian society's uprisings began in the year 1905. Then in 1915, Mahatma Gandhi's emergency and the birth of Sarvodaya movement produced a lot of positive work in Indian politics. However, professional social work owes its origin to a short-term training course on social service organized by Social Service League at Bombay. The first school of social work was started in 1936 by Clifford Marshall, who was a Protestant missionary and worked in Nagpara. He established the Sir Dorabji Tata School of Social Sciences in Bombay, which offered professional training in social work. Later on, different schools of social work came to existence in Delhi, Calcutta, Lucknow, Varanasi, Agra, Udaipur, etc., which imparted professional training in social work service. After independence, In independent India, the Constitution itself serves as the founder for all the welfare services. The Central Social Welfare Board has been set up to oversee the social welfare services. The board supported the development and improvement of social welfare initiatives. As a result, social work in India progressively became a profession with a social focus. A vital profession in contemporary society, social work has come a long way. Social workers now have a greater range of responsibilities, and in order to carry out their jobs effectively, they need more in-depth training. Now we are going to briefly discuss about development of social work education in India. Social work education has already completed 6 decades of existence in India. It began in India in response to a felt need for a scientific method of helping people. The major objective behind the establishment of Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Bombay, in 1936 was to train manpower to work in Indian conditions. Gauri Rani Banerjee was one of the pioneers of professional social work in India. At present, a number of universities and institutions offer graduate, postgraduate, MPhil and PhD level training in social work. The introduction of social work at higher secondary level resulted in many changes in the field of social work training and practice. In a developing country like India, social workers have a major role in socio-economic, cultural, health and other related areas. Now, the next topic of discussion is professionalization of social work. A systematic approach to researching, diagnosing, and treating the issues clients confront is used in social work. This approach is based on a set of philosophical presumptions and beliefs, theories, and principles. Above all things, modern professional social work has a well-defined and developed body of interdisciplinary knowledge that is derived from fields like sociology, psychology, economics, etc. In developing a conceptual framework for understanding the profession, professional social work can be regarded as consisting of 5 interrelated segments: professional processes, professional participants, professional methodology, professional inputs, and professional milieu. Now let us discuss the segments one by one. Professional process: helping people, groups, and communities take care of problems that arise from the harsh facts of life is the goal of social work profession. The social worker's initial goal in completing this task is to examine the issue and identify its core causes. The social worker then looks into the good aspects of the client and the environment that might be used for solving the situation after identifying the client's shortcomings and environmental constraints. The social worker encourages the client to participate in a series of problem-solving exercises in order to find the best solution, which leads to the identification of the ideal solution and the resolution of the issue. Next, professional participants. The success and effectiveness of social work practice depends on a large extent on the profile and characteristics of the professional participants who partake in the process. In the professional social work practice, the main participants are the client system with a problem, the social worker with his or her level of professional learning and expertise, the social work agency with its resources and limitations, and the environment of the client with its resources and liabilities. Next, professional methodology. Social work methodology comprises of study, diagnosis, and treatment. When a client comes to a social worker, the first thing the latter does is studying the problem thoroughly. In this phase, the focus is on fact-finding and analysis of the problem without jumping into conclusions. The next phase is the diagnosis phase, when the factors both within the client and in the environment responsible for causing the problem are identified. Treatment is the last phase of professional methodology of social work. It consists of application of tools and techniques of social work through which the social worker endeavors to bring about an appropriate adjustment between the client and his environment. Next, professional inputs. The professional inputs refer to the profession-related characteristics and acquisitions of the social worker. These inputs include the professional values and assumptions of social work, the guiding principles of social work practice, the professional relationship between social worker and client, and the interdisciplinary body of social work knowledge. Last, professional milieu. The micro and macro contexts in which the entire process takes place makes up the professional milieu of the assisting processes in social work. The microenvironment is provided by the social work agency, which organizes and provides the social work services. The macro component of professional milieu of social work is the socio-cultural context in which the helping process occurs. Now we will discuss about professional traits in social work. Number 1, systematic and scientific knowledge. Scientific knowledge is the foundation of social work. The methodology of social work is founded on a symmetric body of knowledge that is supposed to be evidence and is generated from research and practice evolution, incorporating local and indigenous knowledge that is unique to the location. Next, skills, techniques and tools. Social work deals with social injustices, impediments and disparities. It answers to commonplace social and personal issues as well as catastrophes and emergencies. In keeping with its all-encompassing focus on individuals and their environments, social work employs a variety of skills, approaches, and instruments. Social work education. In the field of education, social work has a distinct character. Graduate and postgraduate levels of education are available in universities and other teaching institutions in the majority of world's nations. Professional organizations. There are a number of professional organizations at the international and national levels. Social approval. Social work as a profession has been accepted by the respective governments. Both governmental and non-governmental organizations employ trained social workers on various posts. Code of ethics. A social worker operates under a set of fundamental presumptions. He respects every client and has faith in his or her ability to be creative. He or she fully respects the client's right to self-expression and self-evaluation. He or she opposes all forms of prejudice based on things like caste, creed, religion, etc. Now we will discuss about basic values of social work. Following are the core values of social work. Number 1, respect individuals' worth and dignity, encourage mutual participation, demonstrate acceptance, uphold confidentiality, express honesty, and handle conflict responsibly. Number 2, encourage individuals' participation in helping relationship and uphold their right to make their own decisions. Number 3, assist clients in securing resources needed to enhance their social functioning. Number 4, ensure that social institutions are humane and responsive to human needs. Accept and appreciate diverse populations. Hold themselves accountable for ethical conduct, quality of their work, and continuous professional development. Now we will briefly discuss about the philosophy of social work. Humanitarianism, liberalism, and democracy are the cornerstones of social work philosophy. The advent of the idea and philosophy of democracy enhanced the requirement for treating every person as a unique being, deserving respect and recognition, and endowing with the duties and rights of equal citizen in a democratic society. The growth of the individual in his or her own right was aided by consent of the governed, rule of the majority, respect for the innovative minority, and freedom of assembly, speech, and religion. These elements were supported by the tenets of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Now, let us sum up what we have done so far. We began with a brief introduction of today's topic, followed by professional development of social work in USA, UK, and India. Then we discussed about professionalization of social work. We then discussed about professional traits of social work. Further, we discussed about basic values of social work and philosophy of social work. With that, we have come to the end of today's topic. Thank you.